All right, cool. So nice segue to my talk, where I'm going to be focusing more on the NF-Core side um, from Nextflow. Hi, I'm Nikhil Kumar, a bioinformatics software engineer at MSKCC. We primarily focus on writing pipelines for the company. And so here we're talking about kind of potential solutions we work with. Oops, that doesn't work. There you go. All right, so brief overview of the talk. First, I'm going to talk about some of the common problems we hit with bioinformatics pipeline development. Then we're going to go a brief intro on Nextflow and NF-Core. I don't think I need to talk much about Nextflow. Some pipeline solutions at MSKCC, and then some of the benefits and drawbacks of the solutions that we implemented. So I feel like as bioinformaticians, we do this all the time. We're writing a pipeline, another team is writing another pipeline. We realize we're using the same sub-workflow, and we're kind of like duplicating our work across different teams. This leads to consistency issues and also tool versioning issues, and really we should just be all coalescing together. Some tools are no longer maintained. One of the developers like makes a tool, leaves the team, and now you have like this orphan tool in your pipeline that's pretty critical. Scripts and workflows need to be frequently updated. That's just the nature of bioinformatics. We're just constantly changing. And sometimes you write a pipeline that's so good to a specific like computing environment that it doesn't work for other computing environments. So it's best to be portable in that sense. Yeah, so if the previous talk, we talked about Nextflow. It's a domain-specific language. It comes with a lot of great things out of the box. You already get portability with Nextflow, portability with containers. It works with most HPC environments. It's really dynamic, which is amazing. Like you can use Groovy scripting languages with it, and it helps with complicated bioinformatic pipelines. And so the brief overview of Nextflow, pretty easy. You got a container, inputs, parameters, put them all together, and then now you get some outputs and metrics you can use. The one I really want to highlight is the figure on the left, is NF-Core. So NF-Core is like this amazing community behind Nextflow that's designing all these features around Nextflow to make development better. One particular thing is the modules repo, which is over 1,200 like modules in there. If you need a module that's in there, it's probably already in there, and you can just pull it in and use it. There's some continuous integration built in. If you're building your own module, you can add some GitHub actions and linting. They have a Python NF-Core tools package you can just install with a pip install, and you get linting, testing, and installing modules for free. And their documentation is excellent. So there's a lot of cool things going there. So ideally at MSKCC, we would fully adopt the public NF-Core repo, pull everything in and commit there as well. But there are some drawbacks given that we're a hospital working with a lot of private and internal tools that doesn't make sense to be made public. So that's why we had some issues with the adoption. We also want to set our own institutional standards, which might not align with the NF-Core institute standards. Particularly one is we use a lot of containers such as Docker and Singularity, but we rarely use Conda in our modules. So it doesn't make sense for us to enforce our developers to say, hey, make sure this works on Conda as well when we're not really going to use it in an institution. We also want to encourage institutional collaboration. We want to introduce NF-Core to the institution, have them contribute as well. And I feel like it's best to do that when we have our own local like group set up and have like a community going on there. And so this led to the formation of the MSKCC pipeline group. We're a group of clinical scientists, researchers, and engineers who are really coming together and asking the question, how do we encourage more Nextflow adoption within our team? How do we encourage more collaboration, less duplicated work, set some standards, and maintain those guidelines? And one of the big things that we did was we created an institutional module repo in the MSKCC. And one of our goals is to like kind of maintain that, make sure that functions properly. So contributing to the modules repo is actually pretty straightforward. Any developer can either update or install a module. It can also add it to their sub workflows. Then you can make a pull request. Using the NF-Core tools and GitHub actions, we can just out of the box, just add in checks for tests and linting. And so the PR review process is pretty simple. We just look at it, check all the tests, and check how the module is, and then we can just like merge it into our develop branch, which will then be released. And so this is like a snapshot how the PR review process looks like. One of our coworkers made a PR of a specific module. We check the test for those, and then also all of us are listed as reviewers on the right. And we're also pretty big on transparency. So one thing that NF-Core does in their pipeline testing is they have a test dataset repository. So in all their unit tests of all their modules, they have all their files that are used in your unit tests on the GitHub repo. And this is really nice for, as mentioned in the previous talk, provenance and transparency, where you can look at a module and then actually see what physical file is used for input and also potentially what file is used for their outputs. And yes, that's nice transparency to it. And then some more transparency that we're kind of advocating that's kind of less in the NF-Core community is kind of image transparency. So instead of having just like a link of a Docker hub of where your image is located, we want to have a physical location where the Docker file is located. So if someone comes to you and asks you, hey, what version of R did you use for your pipeline? You can go into the pipeline, check the GitHub link, and then look at the Docker repo and see like look at the GitHub repo with the Docker file and see what version of R was used. You can also have like what dependencies were used, and also we're enforcing some best practices for image management for tagging. So if someone has any issues with their image, they know exactly who to blame. And also we have some GitHub actions built in which will build those images on Docker Hub, or if you have a private image, you'll build it on JFrog. Another neat thing is there's this file called a meta YAML in Nextflow modules where it kind of describes like your inputs, your outputs, and kind of like a description, some tagging of your modules. And what we do is we have this script that goes through all of our meta YAMLs in our modules repo, and just out of the box, you can get a nice little README of like the module, the inputs and outputs that you can just give to other people so they can know what's going on in the pipeline. And so some of the benefits here is that we are encouraging standardization of common tool workflows. Now that we have like everyone's contributing to one repo, we can have discussions of which parameters are optional, which parameters should be required, what tool version should we use. Let's not like have 0.1 differences among our tools, and also add some transparency in the resources used with the test data set and the containers. And then also we enforce that all the modules meet the NF-Core spec. So the NF-Core spec is going to be constantly updating all the time. And so one of our jobs as a MSK Pipelineomics group is to make sure that everyone continues to follow the new updated spec and kind of advertise that as well. And so this is like a neat little diagram that shows the intersection of having the modules repo and how that actually benefits you in your pipeline development. So now that we have like this modules repo with all the modules contributed from other coworkers, all of those are already passing all the unit tests, validation, linting, everything. Those modules are good to go. And so when you want to create your pipeline, you just download this NF-Core tools Python package. You just load all those modules into your pipeline and then write your own tests. You have your tests for your modules ready, and then you have like an end-to-end test for your pipeline, and then boom, you have like a fully tested pipeline. In probably less time, they'll take you to just start from the pipeline from the top. So we're very much a bottom-up approach to making pipelines. Just build up your pieces, build them strong, and then build up your pipeline on top of that. So current success is we currently have like 25 modules added into our institutional repo. We're currently on the works of 4 pipelines using that repo. Added some 4 sub-workflows, and we kind of formalized the PR review process and improved our documentation. So there are some limitations here. Currently, you cannot link NF-Core modules and institutional modules in the same sub-workflow. I believe the NF-Core devs are aware of this issue. NF-Core, but it'd be really nice if like that's resolved, because then we can just focus on our private tools in our NF-Core institutional level, and all the public tools, we can just like pull those in from the public NF-Core repo. NF-Core tool updates all the time. Like I think just this morning, I saw a failure in one of my tests, and it's because Prettier updated and then like one of the lintings failed. So it's something that like changes a little bit, and you have to kind of like be aware of that. And then the last one, pipeline and modules. So we do envision some of our modules going into the NF-Core public repo, but because our standards are slightly different, we just need to convey those to the people who develop there. That just, you need to change these small things, just push them into the NF-Core repo. And And thanks to everyone who made all this possible, specifically to the NF-Core community team and the Nextflow team and some of my coworkers as well. And then I have some references and a QR code if you want to check our documentation out.
Hi there. I have a question. What do you use to visualize the execution of your pipeline?
Visualize the execution of my pipeline. Do you mean like the tracing or?
Like tracing in real time to see what's running, what's pending, what's completed?
Yeah, so so in real time, we kind of have our own third-party service that like we kind of made that like checks the status of those tools. But usually you can have anything that links to your scheduler or so. We don't really use the tower. We kind of like built our own thing before tower was a thing. And then also we use the trace afterwards to check the status of those jobs.
Great, thank you.